Y'all ever called the cops on a ghost? So I have now. I don't really know what else you would call it. Okay, so I will tell you this story. I was in a wedding this past weekend, and this wedding was in Tennessee, okay? And it was along the Appalachian Trail. I used to live in North Georgia, and I know a thing or two about the Appalachian Trail. The main thing that I know about it is you don't mess with it, okay? If it talks to you, no, it didn't. Turn right around. If you hear a whistle, no, you didn't. Turn right around. I don't mess with that, and I moved away happily from the drama that is another realm that is circling on up in there. Anyway, I'm at this wedding, and we check into our Airbnb. We get there the night of the rehearsal dinner, and of course, we travel with our whole zoo, so I've got 3 dogs. I've got 3 dogs with us. And we check into the Airbnb, and immediately I go into the main bedroom to put our stuff down, and I'm like, I don't like it. And I told Sebastian, I'm like, I don't want to stay in this room. Can we stay in the other room? And he's like, the kids' room? Yes. Something in this room is wrong. We stay in the other room, and then we jet on over to the rehearsal dinner. By the time we get back that night, we're exhausted. We know we have to be up. I got early in the morning with the bridesmaids. So we crash. Now, it's important to note that because we stayed in the kids' bedroom, when you walk out of that kids' bedroom, there's like 2 living rooms and then the kitchen, but you can see all the way through to the kitchen. Dogs are in crates in that second living room. So I come out of the bedroom to go to the bathroom, and I look into the kitchen, and there I see it. There is a grown man standing in my Airbnb at the counter. This guy's big, okay? Now ask yourself, what do you do in that moment? Freeze, and I'm checking all the things. Am I asleep? Am I dreaming? Let me fixate my eyes. What am I seeing right now? No, I see, clear as day, a grown man standing at the counter, and I'm like, someone broke into the Airbnb. I watch a lot of true crime. Okay, I was prepared for this. I locked the doors. I wedged the chairs. This is an important note. I wedged the kitchen chairs up under the doors leading to the outside. Staring at this man with his back to me, and my dog, Crouton, locks in and sees what I see, and he starts his little, okay, well, time is limited. He's about to turn around. So my choice is either to lunge into the room in front of me and undo the crate and get my German Shepherd to eat this man, or there's a banister right here by the fireplace and the bedroom. So I duck right back here. So as I duck behind this banister, there's like a vase. So the wall and the vase, and I'm behind it, but I can kind of see into the kitchen while this vase is like covered. I got one eyeball on him, okay? My dog is still like, I close the door ever so quietly, and I flip the lights on, and I'm like, Sebastian, get up. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, there is somebody in our kitchen. There's somebody in our kitchen. Holding the door, and I grab my phone, and I'm like, I'm just gonna call 911. This is not my house. This is an Airbnb that somebody has broken into, and my dogs are out there. So I call the cops, and I'm like, I'm at the Airbnb, like, track my location. Somebody broke into our Airbnb. I don't know who this person is, and I don't know if they're dangerous or they're like mentally stable. I don't know. Y'all gotta come in here and handle this. So as I'm on the phone with the cops, I'm like, this is such a wild way to die. Like, I would hate to be murdered at an Airbnb. I'm here for bridesmaids duty, not policeman duty. The only thing that I will be policing is the bride's tequila shots, okay? That's what I'm here for. So longer story short, 3 minutes feels like half an hour. The cops get there. The door that we have to let them in is like right outside this bedroom door. So Sebastian's like, okay, like, let me go, and like, we'll get him in here fast. Opens the door, pulls the chair out from under the door, unlocks it, lets the cops in. Now I've got 4 cops surveilling this Airbnb. We can't find him. This man was large, okay? And we can't find him. So that's when I noticed that in the kitchen, the only other door leading to the outside also still has the chair wedged under it. Meaning that nobody could have broken inside and then broken back out and leaned the chair up under, you know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't do that from the outside. So he is nowhere to be found. And I'm sure that I look crazy to these police officers, who at this point find out that we don't live there, it's an Airbnb, and they skedaddled. They ran out of there like an old Cartoon Network scene. I'm just in this house convinced. I'm like, Sebastian, there's no way someone left. There's no way somebody left. They are still in here. There's nothing. There's no attic. There's no floorboards. I pulled out every book of a bookshelf. Nothing turned around. I don't know where this person came from. I opened every cabinet. I looked in the oven. This person disappeared. To call that other than like a mimic or something like that. Like I walked out and maybe it didn't see me or it did. I don't know what the situation was. What I can tell you is I did not go back to bed. That bridesmaid's morning started 4 a.m. for me. I was not going back to sleep at all. And then here's the thing. After the wedding the next night, I'm like, well, I have a choice to make. Do I either stay in this Airbnb the second night or do I just drive home? More things that happen, like the lights would randomly just turn off and on. The TV would turn itself off and on. Like the oven and dishwasher door like flew open. So there were other things that were weird too. But those were the main ones. So yeah, just wondering, guys, have you too ever accidentally called the cops on a ghost? My mom used to say if it was a snake it'd bit you. Yeah, well if it was a murderer I'd be dead because I did not move fast enough. I did not.
A ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable, but it's entirely true.
When I was in 5th grade, my parents moved us to a small town in the South. We purchased a home directly from the original owners, and they had an addition added to the home. It was just a bedroom with a bathroom. It was a newer part of the house. It was secluded from the other parts of the living space, which was perfect for me because I had 5 brothers. I did not want to be anywhere near their bedrooms. And it was all great until one night, I swear I saw something. And I told my mom, I was like, I see something in the room. I told her multiple times that I was seeing stuff. She chalked it up as if I was, using my imagination, or I was just jealous because my little brother still slept with her. And she was like, stop crawling in bed with me. You're just jealous. You're too big. But anyway, fast forward to one night, I saw something. I saw as clear as day. I saw a woman standing near me, and I could tell you exactly what her hair looked like all the way down to her apron. And I saw her multiple times. Now, this small town, everybody knew everybody. My mom was friends with a lady who used to live in the house. And one day we went to her home to visit her. And my mom was just there chit-chatting, but I decided to tag along because if I had the opportunity to ask her about the ghost, I was going to. And whenever we were about to leave and my mom was, saying bye, I just turned around and I was like, we're not leaving until you ask her. Like, you have to ask her right now. And my mom was just literally chalking it up, like, come on, let's just go. And finally she turned around and she was laughing and she said, okay, Nora wants me to ask you a question, haha. And she said that she sees someone in her room, and she told her which room was mine. And she's like, she sees a woman in there, and this is what the woman looks like, and this is what she's wearing, and all this stuff. And the lady looked up, and her face was like white, like a ghost. She looked shocked. She told my mom, literally, she was like, you just described my mom, and that was her room. We built that section of the house on when she came to live with us, and she died in that room. And ever since that point, I was like, I'm not sleeping in that room anymore. I was like, that's it. I'm sleeping with my mom. But things just got worse because when I was in that room, I did have sleep paralysis whenever I saw her, but it was never scary. When I went to go sleep with my mom, even though my mom was in the bed, my little brother was in the bed, I had sleep paralysis, and it was a man. And the man was so freaking scary, literally. I slept in that bed with my mom until we moved out of the house, which was 2 years later. I mean, I was literally entering high school, and I would not sleep on my own in that house. And finally, when we moved, it was weird because it was a change overnight. I immediately went to my own bedroom, never had the issue again, never had sleep paralysis again. But in that house, it was almost a nightly thing. It was so unreal. I cannot describe it. I was scared to go to sleep.
I've always felt a specific type of way about Americans who don't necessarily believe in certain other aspects of things because it forces them to unlearn shit in the Western world. That's besides the point anyways. There's this interview of Lauryn Hill and Wyclef, and he's actively telling a story about in Haiti I saw a mermaid. That was some crazy ass shit, and Lauryn Hill is just making fun of him, right? And that shit just always made me look at her differently because it's just You go over there. You go over there and you go to the fucking beach that they tell you don't go to. Go ahead. Go to the coast. Matter of fact, y'all wanted more Haitian story times. I'm going to give you another Haitian story time. I had told this story one time, but shit went wrong and the video got taken down. We're going to do it again. I went to Haiti one time. I was 4. We were in Port-au-Prince. Everything was chilling. Everything was fine. And my grandmother would tell me, there are people, and like for a lack of better words, people in Haiti who look like Slender Men. And the way that these spirits show up is they show up because the way that our house was set up is like, it was kind of a dome. It was kind of a dome like this. There were like 3 different wings and I was in the middle wing. Woo! Y'all, my grandmother told me, look, when this candle blows out, do not leave your room. Do not open your eyes. She was like, unless I come get you, do not get out of this bed. And she was just all like, and if you hear anything, turn the other way. You think I'm going to remember all of that at 4? I did. I just didn't listen. I started hearing scratches like that on the walls, but like from ear to ear, like on the walls, right? I was getting real scared. My eyes open. Okay, because the candle was already out. I had fallen asleep though, you know what I mean? Well, I'm hearing scratches, and so I opened my eyes, and I remember when I opened my eyes, I started hearing whispers. Whispers like this, saying, open the door, get out of your bed, open the door. Oh, hell no. I was like, when I tell you and this was the dumbest thing I could have done. I ended up moving. I ended up like curling up into the ball, bitch. That woke up the spirits. When I tell you, there were literal, like, it looked like Slender Men, like tall figures, shadow figures rising from the bottom to the top and like over in this dome area, bitch. There were claws, there were big sharp teeth, there were it was scary as fuck. It was one of the scariest things ever. And the whispers just got louder and louder. And everybody was just like, that's literally what the fuck it sounded like. And that was one of the scariest things ever. And I remember my grandmother, she busted open the door and she was just all like, I told you not to open your eyes. She was like, you're inviting them. And she had to give me a bath in this blue water. And that was one of the scariest things I'd ever fucking like done in my life. Now, the reason why I was talking about White Clef and this mermaid story is, where we had lived, and I posted a video of like me back in Haiti. You could see that like in my backyard was a beach. And I don't know why I said it like that. And girl, when I tell you, like a couple of nights later, this was one of my last nights there. I have never been back to Haiti since. When I tell you, I had looked out of the window and was just chilling there. The sun was setting. It wasn't dark yet. When I tell you, I was just chilling there and I see the most prettiest woman I had ever seen. The prettiest woman I had ever seen, sitting down, and she was bathing in the sun. Now, this isn't something like just sitting in the sun. No, like she was dancing and moving in the sun. Like, I've never seen this before. And if you know anything about voodoo, you would know somebody named Oshun or Yemaya. And this woman, like the way that, like the stories that you hear about Oshun, like just like the way that you hear about like how seductive she was and how beautiful she was and like how people were in a trance with her, that's literally what this woman looked like. And I remember one of my neighbors who lived there too, he would always say, she's beautiful, but you can't touch her. She's beautiful, but you can't touch her. And so I remember, like, as I was looking at her, I kept thinking, like, I wonder why he was saying, like, you can't touch her. Like, you can't touch her. And I had seen this lady walk into the ocean. And the more and more she got into the ocean, the longer and longer her face got. And I turned around, I laid down, and I minded my business.
I got a spooky story for you. Okay. So, in case any of you don't know, my son has autism. So, when he was little, he used to see things. Okay. Probably around 6 or 7, when he used to go to bed, he used to say that there was somebody laying next to him. Be like, mommy, mommy, there's somebody next to me. There's somebody next to me. And I will run into his room. And I would be like, where is it? Where is it? And he would be all the way at the edge of his little twin bed. And he would be like, it's right there. It's right there. And I will punch the air. And I will punch the bed, the pillow. And I would be like, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here right now. Leave Robert alone, you know? I don't know what it was, but we fighting, okay? We're going to fight because not my kid. All right. And this would happen almost every night. And I would be like, but what is it? What does it look like? And he would be like, it's there. He's green. He got a green face. And I would be so scared. Like, I would be so scared. Because during that time, I was a single mom. So it was me, him, and his sister. And I was terrified. So, every night the same thing. Mommy, mommy, there's somebody right there, right there. And every night I would go in and I'll be like, get the hell out of here. And I would just punch. I will punch the air. I will punch the pillow. I will punch everything. I'll be like, get out of here right now. Get out of here right now. My son started sleepwalking after that. So every night I would catch him just standing in the living room. Like just standing there, like with his eyes open. And he's asleep though. Every night I would just walk him back to his bed. You know, and sometimes he would be standing at the edge of my bed. Like I would wake up and he would be right there, like standing at the edge of my bed. And I would just walk him back to his bed. Mind you, I'm scared. Okay, I am scared because it's just us, me and the kids. When I first met my husband, we started dating. We went to go visit his sister. So we went to go visit his sister one day. So his sister lived in her husband's childhood home. We're going to their house for the first time. So my son, he walks in the house and he walks in like nothing, you know, and he walks into the living room and, you know, and he's like, you know, he looks at the kitchen and the dining room and he walks straight into her bedroom and he opens the door and he says, there's someone in here. There's someone in here. There's someone in here. She's right there. She's right there. By this time, he's 9 years old. So I go running in and I get him and I'm like, wow, who's in here? Who's in here? He's like, she's right there. She's right there. She's right there. There's somebody in here. There's somebody in here. And I was like, okay, come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And we run out and I look at my husband and I'm like, and then I look at my daughter and I think she was like 13 at the time. And we look at each other and we're like, there's somebody in there. There's fucking somebody in there. So, my husband tells me that his brother-in-law's mom died in that house. And I was like, oh my God, she's still here. She's still here. The next time we go visit, like 2 weeks later or something, he walks straight to that room again. And he's like, there's someone in there. There's someone in there. There's someone in there. And again, he was like, she's right there. She's right there on the bed. Like he would be like, she's right there on the bed. Oh my God, their house is haunted. So, yeah. So we walked them out of the room and we're like, there's no one in there. It's okay. It's okay. There's no one in there. And that's one of the times that my son saw a ghost.
I don't know who Cat G is from Chicago. When I tell y'all, she got me hooked on her stories and shit, talking about the paranormal activity in Chicago, the vampires and shit, the wolves, the gargoyles, and all type of shit, y'all. As y'all can see, when she talking about Lower Wacker Drive, that's one level down. But I'm gonna take y'all a different direction, y'all, because I got a small story time. So, at the place of work where I work at, you know, where my office is located inside the building, it leads to Lower Wacker Drive, which is connected to the Riverwalk. That also leads you to Navy Pier, where Cat G talked about the mermaids and all of that stuff. Right? So the fact that it's raining like a motherfucker right now, as soon as I cross this right here, I'm considered underground. I'm away from the top world now, right? This is Lower Wacker, right? And as y'all can see, this is the ramp that goes up. It also comes down, right? So moving forward, where I work at, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm connected to Lower Wacker. He used to be this man. He used to always sleep. I forgot what you call these damn things right here. Y'all can tell me in the comments what they call this thing right here. Moving forward, but he will always sleep in a spot like this, right? So I had went on vacation for my birthday in June. You know what I'm saying? Took 2 weeks off. But mind you, I will always feed this man. I would feed this man lunch, breakfast, anything that I had that I bought, you know what I'm saying, from home, anything that I cooked, I would always bring this man food because from what I heard, he been sleeping in the same spot for the past 15 motherfucking years, y'all. This particular day, when I had came back from my vacation, y'all, side note, that's the Riverwalk, you know what I'm saying, Lower Wacker again, going down the stairs, you feel me? Now you all the way down. Now this is where Cat G talk about the vampires, y'all. You see the type of lightning that's down here versus the light that's up here? It's very damn right. So this is the route I have to take when I go to work and shit, right? Getting back on topic, I had just came off of a 2-week vacation and shit. You know what I'm saying? When I make it to this certain stop sign, right here at this corner in front of me, let me turn the camera around. As you can see, every time I make it to that stop sign, I will see that old man out there feeding the birds. For some reason, birds always love his energy. Birds always come around him. Even when he sleep, the birds will sleep right next to him, including the fucking mice down here, bro. Like, dead ass serious. But every time I make it to the stop sign, right here, I will see him feeding the birds, and he will see me coming, and he will wave. Mind you, now these lights right here were flickering at this moment. By the time I made it to this fucking stop sign, right? So I see the man. So I end up going into the workplace, right? Moving forward, it was so fucking busy this particular day at work. We had a lot of conferences going on and shit. And normally I'll come outside to check up on him. But this particular day, when I seen him that morning, I felt like he was good. But this particular day, I had worked my ass off and it was so motherfucking busy, right? I'm so tired. I went home. I was fucking exhausted and shit, right? Tell me why the next day I was running late. So I decided to take a different route. I didn't take Lower Wacker. I actually went through the pedway system that Cat G talked about, the pedway system that leads you from Michigan all the way over to da-da-da-da-da. I'm gonna tell you that later. But moving forward, I was running late for work this particular day, so I took the pedway system to work. So I clock in and shit, you know what I'm saying? And my coworker comes in and shit. And he like, bro, you heard what happened? And I said, what you mean? He say, bro, don't you know that man that used to sleep, you know what I'm saying, outside? And I said, yeah. What happened to him? I just seen him yesterday. And he looked at me, he started laughing. He said, no, you didn't. I said, yes, I did. I said, when I was walking down Lower Wacker Drive, I said, before I walked up the ramp, that man waved at me. He was out there feeding the birds like he always do. When I tell y'all my coworker pulled out a motherfucking picture and showed me a picture of this man, and I'm looking like, what the fuck? I was shocked, right, y'all? I'm like, okay, when does this happen? This motherfucker, a coworker of mine, told me that this man been gone since you was on your vacation. Are you fucking serious? I felt so fucking bad, man. It was just crazy that I just literally saw this motherfucking man. And then coming to find out that this man been gone since my fucking vacation. That goes and shows you, man, that paranormal shit is motherfucking real. It's very much real out here. And I'm about to show y'all the spot because that man been there for so long. It's like you can still see his, like, the shape of his body that's there. I'm about to show y'all right now. Hold on. He used to sleep right behind here. As you can see, it's somebody down there. As you can see, somebody down there. But look, that man used to sleep right here. If you really look at it, you can still see where his head was at, where he used to always lean back at. You can still see the shape of his palate right here. Normally don't talk about stuff like this on my platform, but I just thought I'd, you know, say something about it. You know what I'm saying? Cat G, you inspired me to talk about it and shit like that, but you can explain further details to everybody else what's going on down here, though. I said what I said. I'm holler at y'all later.
Whenever your mom tells you that she has a really bad feeling about a place that you're going or something that you're doing, you should listen, because I guarantee that 9 times out of 10, she's probably right. Moms just have that sixth sense where we know that our kids are in danger. Unfortunately, Anthony did not listen. So we're going to go ahead and share his story. And I promise you, you're going to want to stay till the end because it has a crazy twist. When Anthony was in college, he had a girlfriend that lived about 8 hours away. So every weekend or every Friday night, he would take the 8-hour trip to go spend the weekend with her and then drive back. He made this drive so often that he literally knew the route like the back of his head and would even stop at the same little restaurant at the midway point. so often that he got to know the people that live there or that work there. On a Friday, just like his usual Fridays, he was getting ready to leave when his mom came up to him and said, I really think you should stay home this weekend. I have a really bad feeling. Something's going to happen. You should just stay home. Anthony, of course, reassures her and tells her that he's going to be perfectly fine, that he has made this drive many times before and that it was no different. And then his mom tells him, well, there's also a storm coming, so I really think you should reconsider staying home. And Anthony tells her no, that he's fine, that he's driven in the rain before and it's not going to be any different. Against her wishes, he goes ahead, he gets in his car, and he leaves. Once he hits the midway point, he stops at that little restaurant that he would always stop at. Now, the waitress that worked there knew him by name because he stopped there so often, so she kind of came up to him and to take his order, but he noticed that she looked very so he asked her what was wrong, and she just told him that she just felt like there was something in the air that was off, like the energy was off, like she just felt like something really bad was gonna happen. And also, being that they were getting ready to get hit with a storm, like it really unsettled her. Anthony kind of shrugged it off and continued on. He ate his food and left. As he was walking out of the restaurant, he noticed that as soon as he walked out, the waitress went and locked the door. He was literally the last customer they were going to take because they were all going to go home. He decided to kind of shrug it off, not let this really bother him. He got into his car and continued the rest of the way. He would typically listen to podcasts on the way, so he just put on his podcast and started to drive. At this point, it started to calm down really hard, but he wasn't worried because, again, he's driven in the rain and it wasn't a big deal. As he's driving on the road, he hits a spot where it's literally the middle of nowhere. There's nothing in sight when he happens to see a woman on the side of the road. Now, mind you, it's raining. His visibility is very low. He can't really make out her face or anything. He just knows it's a woman by the shape. He figures that maybe she got into a fight with whoever she was in her car with or a car with, and they just kicked her out of the car because there was no way that she could have just wandered over there on her own. It was far. So he decides to pull over on the side of the road, kind of ahead from her. He can see her behind. He starts to kind of honking his horn. He tries to look out the window to get her attention, to be hey, do you need a ride? Are you okay? But she doesn't turn her face to look at him. Then from his radio, mind you, he's listening to a podcast, he starts to hear the screams of a woman. He assumes that maybe because of this visibility or the rain, the satellite's messing up, so maybe he's picking up 2 different channels, and maybe in the other channel there's someone screaming. That's what he thinks. So he continues to kind of wait there and try to get this woman's attention. She's not listening. He kind of looks down to try to mess with his radio. When he looks back in his rear view mirror, he sees that the woman is now right behind. Her face is right up to the window, and he has a clear look at her face, and her face looks deformed, something is seriously wrong with her. Every alarm bell goes off, and he's there's absolutely no way that whatever that is human or alive. I don't know what that is, but I want to get as far away from that thing as I possibly can. He hits the gas and he just takes off. Now at this point, he can't see anything. It's so dark, it's raining, it's horrible. But again, he has taken this road so many times that he memorized it. So he's just kind of going based off memory. But the whole time that he's driving, the static from the radio continues, and he keeps hearing the screams coming from the radio, and he's confused, and he's just once again thinking maybe some sort of satellite issue. I don't know. He just keeps driving and driving and driving. He drives for about 30 minutes straight without stopping until he finally hits a gas station. He's still kind of shaken up. He gets to the gas station, puts gas in his car. Then he pulls up to the front. He walks into the gas station. There's 2 men standing there, behind the register, kind of talking to each other. He goes and grabs his snacks. He pays for his snacks. As he's walking away, getting ready to get back into his car, one of the men looked at him and said, "Hey, where are you going?" Anthony looks back at him and goes, I'm going to my car. And the guy goes, "What about your wife? Are you gonna leave without your wife?" Anthony's like, "What wife? I didn't drive here with anyone. I'm by myself." The man then tells him, "No, you're not. When you pulled up to get gas, we saw when a woman got out of your passenger seat. And she got out and she walked towards the back of the building. We thought she was going to the bathroom." So the whole time Anthony was driving in the car with the woman from the window. Anthony then tells him, "Absolutely not. I'm here by myself. You have to believe me. You can go check the bathroom. There's probably not going to be anyone there." The one man then tells him, "Well, you're very, very lucky because that road that you just took is known for a ton of car accidents. The fact that you're even standing here, even able to speak to us, is incredible because there's so many people that never make it." So what he encountered was definitely some sort of demonic idol spirit thing that maybe makes people crash. Is a lot of times when there's a road that has had a lot of car accidents, it's usually tied to the spiritual. There's always something there causing the accidents. Needless to say, once Anthony made it to his girlfriend's house, he pretty much told her that you need to move. Like, either I need to move or you need to move back. Like, I can't keep making this trip back and forth.
One time I accidentally booked the most haunted hotel in Chicago for my friend and I am no longer allowed to book hotels. My friend and I were traveling to Chicago. It was my first time. She had been there before. I just went online. I found a hotel that was not super expensive, good reviews, and centrally located. And that was the Congress Plaza Hotel in Chicago, which is the most haunted building in Chicago, supposedly. We get into Chicago at like 11 o'clock at night. We get into an Uber from the airport to our hotel. Uber driver's being really chatty. We pull up to the Congress Plaza Hotel and he says, "Oh, my daughter's obsessed with this hotel. It's the most haunted hotel in Chicago." And we said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, she really wants to stay the night here because it's supposedly really haunted." And we were like, "Please tell us you're joking." He was not joking and pulled up and was like, "Okay, see ya, have a good stay." At this point, we're terrified because I cannot do haunted, my friend cannot do haunted. Even like the idea of it being haunted, whether or not it actually was, we just were like, we're not gonna sleep. This is worst case scenario. Okay, this is the hotel that we pull up to. You can't really tell in this, but it's like pretty old. It was built in like the 1800s, like the late 1800s was when it was like booming. This is the lobby that we walked in. No one's in the lobby, and granted it's 11 o'clock at night, but still it felt very like, we had the idea of it being haunted in our minds, so that colored our experience here. We check in with the bellhop and we're like, haha, our Uber driver just said this place is haunted, hoping he'll be like, "Oh, that's just rumors, like we never have any issues." And he's like, yeah, we get that a lot. So he didn't reassure us at all. He basically confirmed. So at that point, we're like, okay, stick it out. We can do this. We go to the elevator. This is the elevator, beautiful. We get in, our room was on the 11th floor. Let's just get to the room and we'll see how we feel, is what we decided. Because again, it's like 11:30 at this point. So we get in the elevator, I push 11, elevator takes us up, doors open, pitch black, just a pitch black hallway. And we said, nope, and went back to the lobby because there was not a shot in hell we were walking down a dark corridor in a supposedly haunted hotel. This is the ballroom, just wanted to show you. It's very pretty, supposedly very haunted. Anyway, so we go back to the lobby, we find a different bellhop this time. Mind you, they're dressed like they are from the 1800s, like red cap, red like button, whatever. Very old school bellhop outfit. And we're like, "Hey, so we just got on the elevator and it opened to a dark corridor." And he goes, "Oh yeah, like that happens sometimes, just try again and it'll work." And we said, "What happens sometimes? What do you mean?" Anyway, so I don't know how we did it, how we made ourselves do it, but we went up that elevator again and we walked all the way to our room. Now these are the hallways. And it doesn't look very eerie because it's not nighttime, the windows are open. But imagine this, if you can see at the end of this hallway is a door with a tiny window in it. We have to walk through, we probably walked through 3 doors like that down the hallway. It was like a labyrinth. The walls kept like curving around and we would like curve around and there's all these room numbers. And then we get to another door with a hole in it and we'd have to walk through that. This is kind of like a better image of like how the walls went. Anyway, and here's a better picture of the door with the little window in it, which just felt very insane asylum to me. Spooky. Okay, anyway, we get to our room. It looks a little bit like this. I don't remember exactly what it looked like. We were just freaked out at that point. There was no chance that we were gonna stay there. So we got on the phone, found a hotel nearby that had vacancy. We go back to the lobby. They were super nice. They didn't end up charging us. We were like, "I'm so sorry. I know we're annoying, but we can't stay here. Like, we can't do haunted." So at that point, we were like, we're not looking anything up about this hotel until tomorrow. So we got to the new hotel, went to sleep, still didn't sleep great. But the next day we were like, okay, let's Google what this hotel is really about. And this is what we found out. Okay, this is from an article in CBS News, but quoting Chicago Hauntings Ghost Tours. But basically saying it's a super haunted place in Chicago, describes it as being very creepy. It's also like very historical, like a lot of presidents stayed there. Al Capone had like a residence there for a while. And another creepy historical figure was like H.H. Holmes was rumored to frequent the lobby there and like find victims. If you haven't read Devil in the White City, do that now. So there have been many documented at the hotel, too many to try to start a comprehensive list. That's how many there have been. I'm not going to go through this one, but you can pause to read. But his ghost is referred to as the Shadow Man. The most haunted floor is the 12th floor, which is rumored to be haunted by a little boy, and they connect it to the death of Carol Langer, who was a little boy, and his, hold on, I'll show you. This is his mom. You can pause to read. But basically, she threw her children from a window and then herself. But basically, a lot of people have reported seeing a little boy in the hallway running around. No, thank you. Room 441 is on the 4th floor, and it is supposedly the most haunted room. Many people report calling security because they see a woman standing or hovering over their bed, pushing or tugging on the bed, pulling off their covers. This one doesn't scare me so much, and actually probably would have loved to see Peg Leg Johnny. He's just kind of like a funny ghost who roams the hallways. The ballroom that I showed you, there's also rumors about that. It's called the Gold Room, haunted by a ghost of an old woman. Some have reportedly had her in photographs from their weddings. There's also rumors that photos will be taken and like bridesmaids don't show up in the photos even though they were supposed to be there. And this is what really got us. Legend has it that the elevator often makes unplanned stops on the 8th floor. Remember how our elevator opened up to a dark corridor? Our theory at the time, because something that we Googled, which I can't find now and I don't have any proof that this is true, but there were rumors on these blogs that the 12th floor was completely shut down because it was so haunted. So what we thought happened was our elevator opened on the 12th floor instead of the 11th floor, and that's why it was dark, because it's a closed off floor. I have no idea if that's true, but that's what we thought. Another thing about the elevators, so fun. Anyway, if you're into haunted things, I've heard it's fun to stay at the Congress Plaza Hotel. I will not be joining you, but I wish you the best of luck. And tell Peg Leg Johnny I say hello.
Let's read another scary story that was DM'd to me. This one comes from Alexandra. She's like my TikTok bestie. She lives in New Jersey. This is a long story, so let's get comfy. And this is really terrifying too. I actually can't believe this happened to her. When I was about 10 years old, I was having my birthday dinner at a Chinese food buffet restaurant near where I grew up in South Plainfield, New Jersey. We were having dinner when my sister told me she needed to use the bathroom. I had an uneasy feeling from the moment I walked in the door, so I decided to accompany my sister to the bathroom. My sister went to the stall, and I stood outside of the stall by the sinks when an elderly woman, which I assumed was her grandmother, and a small child walked into the bathroom. They went into the stall together. All of a sudden, I heard a voice come over what sounded like a loudspeaker in a very deep tone telling me to get out. Just then, the door had the elderly woman and the child in it sprung open, and they were no longer there. I have no explanation for what I saw. I watched them both walk into the stall together, and I can't explain where they went. The voice kept calling me a little girl and telling me to leave. I walked into the stall where the girl and the elderly woman were and saw a picture of a skeleton that was placed on the top of the toilet. The skeleton was grinning with an evil smile. I was terrified. I ran to the door and grabbed the handle, and then I remembered my sister was still inside. I said to her, "Liz, let's go." I told her to not even wash her hands and rushed her out of the bathroom. I told my parents that we had to leave because there was a voice that came over the loudspeaker in the bathroom yelling at us to leave. And there was a little girl with her grandmother, and now they are gone. My mom asked my sister if she heard it. She said she heard a voice, but she couldn't make out what it was saying. We ended up leaving the restaurant, and I was shaken too. 2 years later, on Halloween night, of course, my mom asked me if I wanted to go back to the restaurant to have dinner before my best friend and I went trick-or-treating. I'm sure she thought it was on theme to go on Halloween night and took it as a bit of a joke. I was apprehensive, but I figured I would just stay out of the bathroom and everything would be fine. I felt uneasy walking up the ramp to go into the restaurant, but I tried not to think about it. We were almost done with dinner, and my mom decided I should call my friend to see when they would want to meet up for trick-or-treating. I grabbed my mom's phone to call my friend. It began to ring when all of a sudden I heard static on the other end of the line. I have chills right now, by the way. All of a sudden I heard a faint voice that said, "Get out," get out in a long, dragged out whisper. I remember taking the phone and putting it up to my mom's ear. I distinctively remember my mouth being open in shock. I said, we have to get out of here. I went immediately to the car. I was so shook up. I knew I should not have gone back there. Whatever it is did not want me there. When I called my friend on my way home from the restaurant, she said she never got a missed call from us. I vowed from then on to never ever step foot in that restaurant again. My mom went into work the next day and was telling them the stories about what happened at this restaurant. One of her coworkers told her that that area is an ancient native burial ground that they built on top of. I have not been able to confirm this. Even today, as a 34-year-old woman, you would not catch me anywhere near that area ever again. I am curious to know if anyone else has ever had paranormal experiences in this particular place, but not curious enough to go back. The restaurant was shut down and closed for a long time, but 6 years ago, the restaurant is now called Pho Today. Just now, after many years, I have looked up this restaurant and have found a video that has a walkthrough of the restaurant on Google. I can see the exact seating area that I was sitting in when I heard the static on my mom's phone. You could not pay me to go back there. Even reciting this story has made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And she actually sent me a few pictures of what the restaurant looks like now, so I will be sure to include those at the end of the video. And if you live anywhere near Plainfield, New Jersey, and you know what she's talking about, leave a comment below if you've ever been there before, or if you've been to the new pho restaurant that it turned into. That is freaking terrifying. I did tell her that she should go back to that restaurant, though, and just pick up like a takeout order or something and see if she feels any weird vibes. That might be bad advice, but she'll keep me updated.